So the next part is difference of teaching kids and adults. So this is some basic information that you really need to plan your better classes. And of course, I think that you know that if you can teach adults, it doesn't mean that you can teach kids. So let's start. So first of all, preparation. Teaching kids, you really need to prepare your lessons more. And teaching adults, you need to prepare lessons less. About more, I will tell you a little bit later what exactly more. And less, it means that just you can take a book or you can take some materials and just plan a conversational class and talk about any topic. So for example, what exactly you will need to prepare more, just because you need to plan more activities. So usually we change these activities in about 5 minutes. So every 5 minutes you plan another activity. So that's why actually, for example, you need more preparation. And of course, teaching adults, you just need to, again, as I told you before, just to plan any interesting conversational topic and talk all the lesson long. Yes, actually about the length of the lesson, for kids, of course, it's better to make it shorter because after 30 minutes they will become very tired and even maybe bored, no matter what activities you plan. Just because of their physiological points, yeah. So that's why we plan lessons for kids no more than for 30 and 45 minutes. And of course, teaching adults, you can do this for an hour or even an hour and a half. I know that in some courses they have a little break and even have classes for 3 hours long. This is crazy, but anyway, it is possible. Yes, and of course you need more preparation just because you need to plan and to make lots of requisition. You will use different cards, toys, maybe some materials that you will do by yourselves. So lots of requisition is important for kids. So, and of course for adults, you just need a book again, just some materials. Even without them, maybe they will take just their notebooks and will write down all the marks, and this will be pretty enough. Okay, more preparation because you will need attractive material. So kids more visual than adults, but anyway, people more visual usually, but kids, I mean, especially. So that's why while preparing your requisition, it's better to keep it in mind that it should be colorful, it should be interesting for them to touch, for example. So that's why sometimes we advise teachers to use real objects instead of cards, for example. So you will need to think about lots of different things. And about adults, you can use just text again. Yeah, of course, if these texts are with beautiful pictures, it's only a bonus. But anyway, it is not so important. Hello. Today, I want to share some teaching tips with you. So let's start. So when you have especially newcomers in your group, it's better to show them the place, introduce yourself, of course, to say them hello at least, and other kids before you start your lesson. Of course, it is possible only in the situation when these kids come to your lesson a little bit earlier, maybe for 5 minutes. So this is important to construct their safety and confidence. So imagine that you came to some new, I don't know, location, new country, for example, and you don't know where to go, what to do, yeah, what people you will meet, and what situation may happen. So actually, this is more important for kids just because they really feel unconfident and they can feel shy. Of course, it depends on kids. Some of them can play on the spot from the moment they see you, but some of them can feel very, very shy. So that's why before starting your lesson, show the newcomer the place where you teach and introduce yourself and other kids. Also, before and after the class, it's better to make so-called introduction part. What exactly I mean? Usually when kids know you better, and they especially like you as a person, they want to talk to you a lot about their own deals. For example, they want to tell you about their new toys, what happened in their lives, whatever. Of course, it takes time of your lesson, and especially if you have a lesson of 30 minutes, it is not possible just because it is really short time and you have lots of activities that you planned. So that's why it's better to avoid this chatting. So how you can do this, you make a rule for your kids that before the lesson we can discuss anything you like, and if kids try to tell you something during the lesson, you tell them, okay, I'm sorry, I'm really interested, but we can discuss it after the lesson. Difficulty. While planning your lesson, always remember that better is easier than difficult. Actually, this rule is important for all ages and for adults as well. Again, to make your students feel more confident. But for kids is really more important because if they feel no success and if they feel that they cannot do anything, they lose their interest very fast. So that's why what exactly it can be connected with vocabulary, for example, you can find vocabulary that is easier. You can even reduce the amount of this vocabulary if you see that your group is rather weak. And of course, you can plan easier activities, especially if you see that if you know the age of your group. Yeah, so of course, for kids who are older, you can plan more difficult activities than for kids who are younger. Learning and progress. Yeah, this is interesting part. Really, let kids do things by themselves, because in this situation they really learn and they try to do something new. So I can explain you what exactly I mean by telling you some one of the situation. There was not only one actually, because it happens really very often. This is connected with the idea of adults that they can do any task better than kids. This is really the truth. So, for example, we have creative part, art and crafts at our lesson, and we do, I don't know, different things like um, postcards, or kids draw something, or they paint, I don't know, they cut. And sometimes in these activities, parents that are at the lesson, but usually we ask them to wait for the lesson outside of the room. But anyway, especially if these kids are really young ones, like 2 and 3 years old, we have these classes together. So usually parents, they want to help their kids by doing almost everything by themselves. So this is not acceptable for learning, because even if child makes something of course not so accurate as you do, it means that at this moment this child learns this process. So this is mostly connected with parents, because of course my teachers, they don't do this, they understand this rule, and I want to tell you about this as well, that if you see that kids ask you to help them, of course you do this, but if they try to do something by themselves and you see that maybe they don't have a real progress but they try to do, just let them do it by themselves. Hello. So today we're talking about active games that are real fun for kids to play and to study English. So you have made several lesson plans, and maybe you have noticed that it's really hard to find appropriate active games that you can plan for your kids for the lessons that you can combine with the language. So, and today I would like to share the list of games that you can use, that we use in our project, at our lessons. So, the first and the most obvious one is the game that we call musical cards. As you can see from the name of it, you use cards with this game. So, for example, these are cards with the animals. So you take these cards, put them in the circle, face up, turn on the music, and the rule is that kids need to run, jump, I don't know, tiptoe, whatever you ask them to do, around these cards while music plays. When you stop the music, kids stop as well, and of course they stop at any card that is in the circle. The point is that there should be the same amount, or maybe more, better not less, of cards as kids. So they stop at the card and they have to name it. So while this music is not playing, you ask them to name the card that is in front of them. And when it is done, you ask to run or jump again. This is really fun. They love it very much. You can use it as very active game, but try to find new games, because this is really a very nice game, but it can be a little bit boring for them when you play it really very, very often. Okay, one more active game we call Move and Freeze. There are lots of different options how to play this game. So according to usage of vocabulary, we do some actions, of course. Again, it can be running, jumping. You can do this around the circle, just the place without moving. I mean, moving in the room. They can jump. They can jump on one leg. They can hop, whatever. And again, music plays. When music stops, they need to freeze in the position that the music was stopped. Yeah, so they need to a little, maybe use a little balance. For example, if they stopped on one leg, for example. This is really fun. And how to use language at this moment, actually. So you can ask them to say something, to pronounce the new words, to repeat after you. So you can show them the card that they need to name. So everything actually that you can think of. So they just need to say something to make the instruction that you ask them to do. At the moment they freeze. Yeah, this is really funny game that is again similar to musical cards, because we use music there and we use cards again.